Hello and welcome back, finally, to Let's Play Dual Hearts Episode 30. Welcome to Gregor's Dream, the 7th and final key dungeon. I realize it's been about 2 months since the last video, but now that I have some time to record again, I should be able to finish off the rest of this Let's Play in fairly short order if you happen to be following it live. So here we go. This is your token strictly underwater level as expected in a game that borrows heavily from other platformers like this one does. Thankfully, it's not too bad, although a lot of these levels in previous games, like the water dungeons and Zelda games and things like that, tend to be pretty painful. This one is actually pretty straightforward. It's, like a lot of levels in this game, just a straight shot from start to finish. We're going to explore these little caverns with a handful of objects to interact with, like these rocks to break, and a few rings to collect, and otherwise there's some offshoot caverns containing small puzzles to solve. We'll have to take care of about 4 of them before we finally finish the level and reach the boss. As usual, the enemies are pretty non-aggressive and fairly non-threatening, so actual combat isn't going to figure too heavily, at least into the underwater portions of the level, until we actually get to the above-water puzzle caverns. The rings are pretty much all in plain sight. There isn't anything unusual or hidden, although I do miss a single ring on this first pass through the level. I actually assumed because there's one of those obelisks that we can't lift until we get the game's equivalent to the Power Glove, which happens to be in this level. Obviously, that's the item that we get for completing this area. And I assumed the last ring was under that one, since there had to be something to be found for our second pass of this level, since I happen to be missing exactly 1 ring. But as it turns out, that was not the case, and if you happen to see it while I'm playing, rest assured that I do in fact know exactly where it is, as I have completed the game 100% at the time that I'm recording this commentary. So, this first room is pretty straightforward. You'll recognize these monster generators from Hannah's Dream. Of course, since in this level, as opposed to Hannah's Dream, we're actually expected to have the hammer, the generator itself is placed far enough above the ground that, oh, check that out, I accidentally hit the triangle button, so we looked at Bumble in the middle of the fight. Anyway, the generator is placed high enough above the ground that we can't use the hammer to hit it from the ground like we did before in Hannah's Dream, so we actually have to fight it using the arbalest, which is actually probably a little bit easier, assuming we don't let the little jelly drop guys get out of control. Got these rings here, there's the obelisk I was talking about before. That actually is the gateway to the extended portions of the level. Like all levels in this game, this does have a sort of back area that we can only access, or a secondary goal that we can only access after we've completed the level for the first time. So we'll take care of that in a later video. This is actually how you're supposed to fight these. Obviously I fought them in an entirely different way the first time they showed up. Just fend the enemies off with the Ragna Edge, because that's the weapon best suited for fighting the drops, and then just keep shooting it with the arbalest until it finally dies. Pretty simple. You actually have to kill all of the jelly drops before the puzzle is considered solved, and a couple of them continue to appear, assuming you killed them while you're finishing off the generator in the first place. These torches don't really do anything. I'm not really sure why I bothered to light them. I think I actually didn't realize that you had to finish off the last jelly. I sort of assumed, since my puzzle-solving reflexes from Zelda games compel me to light all torches to solve puzzles, I assumed that would do something other than light the room, but as it turns out, that's really all they're good for. Let's fill up Bumble's tummy, since we did use a little bit of the health refill power-up while we were here. And, of course, even though there's only one direction to go in over the course of this level, the game insists on showing you exactly where the grate you just opened by solving the puzzle was, as if we didn't see it the first time. In fact, I even got stuck on it, in case you recall, earlier on this level, which kind of sucked, but what are you going to do? Let's go back down there. Now, it's pretty common in sort of action platformer or adventure games with underwater levels for the underwater levels to be a substantial pain because of, for example, really sluggish controls or obnoxious underwater air mechanics or annoying combat. This game, of course, as we've noted before, does suffer from, as I said, really sluggish controls underwater, but since there's no real pressure and the level itself is really soothing with this peaceful music, I don't really mind it as much. It is really annoying in situations like this one right here where we have to pick up exactly 1 ring, but I think I've shown this maybe a half a dozen times over the course of this LP already. However, since this level is pretty much just a straight shot from start to finish with few offshoot caverns, there's really not a lot of places to edit out this random sort of ring gathering, since I do it pretty much all in one go. I sort of assumed that these pots would be breakable, but they're not. They're just scenery. Pretty odd in this game because, you know, the scenery itself tends to be fairly Spartan, and there isn't really a lot of stuff other than, you know, essential things for solving puzzles. So it's kind of odd there's a little bit of flavor in there. A little bit of sunken treasure, I guess. This rock, of course, contains a piece of dream energy. As soon as I navigate his nose into it, there we go. That's 80. Pretty cool. Obviously, we're 80% complete there. I think this rock also contains another one. I think I'll get it now, or possibly... Yeah, there we go. Yep, 2 pieces of dream energy just sitting right there. I sort of get the impression that as we sort of hit the end of the game, the designers ran out of clever places to hide a lot of the items, because frankly, in this area, most of the pieces of dream energy and a lot of the gold Essamons are just hiding right out in the open in these rocks. Some of them aren't even hidden at all, as we'll see a little bit later. I really dig this music. I guess the theme here is that since Gregor is an amnesiac who's slowly recovering his memory, the theme is that we're sort of plumbing the depths of his subconscious to recover the sort of hidden memories of him being a pirate or whatever caused him to lose his memory in the first place that he's sort of trying to repress while he lives out his happy little life of the last few weeks on this island, possibly days. I'm not really sure what the time scale of this level is, since we certainly cycled through days and nights pretty quickly with our Mystic Hourglass. This puzzle's pretty straightforward. It's entirely optional. There's a bunch of these Arbalest targets under the water. I'm not sure whether underwater doesn't actually impact anything, and of course we can't fire the Arbalest unless we're actually on the ground. There's 6 or 7 of them, I forget exactly, but you hit them all, and I believe this is an Essamon, or is it... No, it's a Dream Energy. Never mind. Shows what I know. It's not like I didn't play the game or anything. Pick up these rings. These spikes are actually the first item we're intended to use the hammer on. This is not one of the actual puzzles, but you can pound them into the ground. I think occasionally they produce Essamons and health items, but these, I think, don't yield anything. We'll use the standard Gens hammer for now, since I use the Essamon hammer pretty often. This puzzle is similar to the one from the extension in Chiffon's Dream, and just like the one in Chiffon's Dream, I mess it up pretty badly. In fact, this is as fast as Pinnacle Studio will allow me to accelerate this portion of the video, and it still takes about 40 seconds for me to finally converge on a solution. In fact, right there I actually tried to leave and give up and restart the video, but I decided to stick through it because I didn't actually have a solution listed for this puzzle. So no matter what, I was going for trial and error. I just am apparently extremely stupid. What are you going to do? Of course, the mechanic is you hit a switch and all the ones adjacent to it switch places. There's probably some algorithmic way to solve this, but I have no idea what it is, and I sort of assumed that I'd figure it out a lot faster than I actually did. Which is to say, not very fast at all. Anyway, oh, there's some more pots. Apparently they show up in a bunch of places. That's sort of cool, I guess. This is the halfway mark of the level. There are 4 of these caverns, as I said. This was the second one. That grade is way down, showing us all these rings that we eventually have to painstakingly gather extremely slowly. Thank God there's no air mechanic in this level. That sort of... I guess since this game is so heavily reminiscent of Banjo-Kazooie, being underwater like this sort of reminds me of the Clanker's Cavern level from that game, where you had to dive down to the bottom of a well. We're going to cut to the new portion of the cavern to sort of save you the trouble of watching me swim back through some of the level that I've already visited. Anyway, Clanker's Cavern, yeah, underwater, deep well, air supply running out, bear and bird dying. Not very pleasant experiences when I was a kid playing that game. Same thing with, I guess, Sonic the Hedgehog, although I mostly had Nintendo systems growing up, so I didn't play that very much. Just as a quick mention, the audio does go out of sync a little bit, starting here for about 5 minutes. So if you're one of the people, if you're the sort of person who gets extremely bothered by that sort of thing, perhaps you'll want to skip through this video about that much, starting about now. This is an irrecoverable error on my part. I no longer have the ability to re-render this video. Anyway, moving on. Pick up these rings down the 3rd passageway to the 3rd puzzle cavern for this level. We're at, I guess that's 5/6 of the rings past 1250. That's interesting to me as sort of an OCD mathematician. Again, I don't think we've killed a single enemy this entire level. At least not intentionally. I think I've dashed a couple of times, and I might have killed one of the fish at some point. But I don't think they appear more than 1 or 2 at a time, so, you know, it just doesn't really come up all that much. Oh god, these guys again. It's not like we haven't fought these guys a million times already. It's getting a little old. You think they'd learn their lesson? But I guess as servants of the Dark Lord, they've got bills to pay and a family. I don't know. Leave this one in just to sort of show off the actual hammer in combat. I actually like the design of the standard Gen's hammer item much better than the Esamon hammer, but obviously the Esamon hammer is substantially more useful in combat, making you effectively indestructible as it generates more and more Esamons as you go on. So for the future, we'll be, other than this portion of the level, we'll be using that going forward. This puzzle, of course, once I actually get to read the hint, it's pretty easy. The spike behind the little obelisk there with the hint on it is midnight, and our goal is to hit the spikes in clockwise order, starting from midnight. I get it wrong the first time because I sort of assume that we're supposed to start from 1 o'clock, but that is wrong. Start from midnight, go all the way around. Accelerate this a little bit because it's pretty obvious what I'm going to do. Use the charge attack again. The first actual puzzle requiring the hammer to be solved. Get that one eventually. There we go. And of course, yet another puzzle. The first, like, actually creative puzzle in this dungeon, and it's only the first part of 2. Yes, I do, in fact, stomp that little crack in the floor soon. I'll get there eventually. Pick up all these rings first before I forget one, which I do, so I'm not really sure why I'm making such a big deal about it now, but, you know, whatever. Pick up these last 2 over here. Of course, that switch, in case it wasn't clear where it showed up, because it really wasn't from that little cinematic, is in the air, and we have to... First, I'll pick up this crack thing finally. All of these contain tummy-up fragments, except this one, which is a gold Esamon. I don't know why I said that. Great, this game just really hates me in this level. I promise I've watched this video, too, so I know exactly what happens. Aside from having actually played it. Anyway, this puzzle actually shows up a bunch of times, starting now. You jump on one platform, and a bunch of other ones appear in sequence. The platforms have spikes underneath them, so you actually get hurt if you don't hit the right one, or if you let it fall out from underneath you. Hit the switch, and that triggers the 3rd puzzle gate, which is, again, absurdly far away from where we are, and we have to watch this stupid cinematic. And watch the great pull-up, and there's the last few rings. Yay! Let's go head in there. Very, very slowly. Just keep swimming, etc., etc. Fish are friends, not food, blah, blah, blah. I really hate these bubbles. I'm not really sure why they're here at all. All they do is push you back up, except for occasionally when they don't and they just pop. I'm not really sure what the mechanics are. They're a little unpredictable. I think these are the first enemies I actually got sick of trying to avoid or dodge. They make these obnoxious, whiny, sort of screeching noises that drive me crazy. And usually, I didn't have any particular trouble just going through the level at my own pace. You know, the admittedly absurdly slow pace the game forces you to swim at. There's another gold Esamon. Might as well pick this up as we go. Again, yet another item that's directly in our path. Not really hidden at all. Break this last block, and this should very shortly be the last main puzzle cavern. Pretty simple, all told. Although, without really spoiling it, this level does contain the most difficult of the sort of back level ends. So we'll be getting to that in a few videos. Pick up these last few rings. And of course, there's a sheep. Somehow we've gotten this far, all the way to the end of the level, without finding one. He's trapped right on top of the exit teleporter. We don't actually... Yes, we'll help the little sheep, but only because he's standing on top of the way out. It has nothing to do with our desire to help sheep. What have they ever done for us? Trigger this. It's not really necessary right now. I believe we've seen this a couple of times. If not, it might just be me sort of forward recalling a few things I've already seen from future portions of the level. We activate it with a lightning draw card. This is part of the reason why it's useful to have all of the extra draw cards equipped with each of the individual elemental Essamon, so that we don't have to worry about tracking one down later in case there isn't grass available. I don't believe these spikes do anything, although we do, of course, have to nail down the ones surrounding the sheep in order to gain access to the exit of the level. Might as well do that now, because it sort of didn't occur to me that that ring puzzle that we activated from the Thunder Switch was timed, so I didn't really giddy up, take care of it. Yes, of course, now we can go on. Yes, we know. Thank you very much. So, give it a minute. We'll wait for the timer to run out, and we'll restart it. This, I think, is our first timed ring puzzle, although it isn't particularly difficult. As long as you move, you don't even have to dash in the water. As long as you sort of swim and don't miss one. I think you can and turn around, and you have plenty of time. As you can see, as long as you just hit everything without... See, here we go. I missed this one, of course. That's all it takes. Another piece of dream energy right on top of the switch. So I guess we have to go back again. Thank you. Alright. That's all I can do in the main portion of the level, so tomorrow we'll fight the boss. And pick up the 9th and final key. See you tomorrow on Let's Play Dual Hearts.